good. It's been a lot of stuff. I forgot how it was. Releasing a new record by kind of like more with a band with expectations. It's been a lot of interviews, a lot of work, but it's all good. Why complain when people are interested in what you do?
Of course, and in case everybody's wondering, this is Tomas from At the Gates. At the Gates have a new album, comeback album called At War with Reality, coming on October 28th via Century Media Records. And Tomas, man, you were just saying that you were kind of surprised that there's so much different things going on nowadays when it comes to pushing a record. What are some of the main differences when it comes to, 19 years ago when you released your obviously groundbreaking album, Slaughter the Soul, to what it is today?
Well, I'm just thinking, the media buzz is so much wider, with the internet and everything. Everybody, there's a lot of more underground radio shows supporting metal and fanzines as well. And I mean, I guess the whole scene is bigger and wider. I mean, back in the days, it was okay to do 20 interviews with the bigger main magazines, and that was it. Now, I mean, it's great to have all these different outlets, and a lot of people are being interested. And of course, back when we released Slaughter the Soul, there wasn't any hype for the band at all. People weren't really having expectations, and now we are working with those expectations. It's great. It's grand.
And why did it take so long for you guys to make some new music again?
Well, I mean, we were abandoned as a band for a long time. I mean, from 2008 was the first reunion, and we initially said that we're not going to record a new record. And the idea of doing that, though, just grew on us, and in the end we thought a statement is just a statement, and this music is too good to just be held back by a statement. So I think it took about 1.5 years for us from the initial writing to the release of the album, actually.
And how important and influential was the final Slaughter tour you guys did, which you kind of rejoined forces, you did it again? How influential was that to you guys, kind of realizing that you have a lot more fire left?
Yeah, it was definitely if you look on our original career back in the 90s, and then the reunion part of our career, we played more shows on the reunion career than we did in the early days, and we noticed that we click as a band, as a unit. We sound better, we are tighter, we know which parts sound good in a song, from all the different members. There's a lot more positive vibes in the writing, process. There's overall a more creative atmosphere in a more positive way in the band.
And I was watching this documentary about you guys making Slaughter the Soul, and that it was a very tedious process because everything was so meticulous. Was it the same thing this time around? Were you very conscious about every single detail?
Yeah, it has been times 100, I guess. We've been very, very meticulous about this one. With the writing process, it went through 1,000 of different filters, before we actually said we were finished with the writing. But, the way we did it, we didn't announce that we were doing a new record until we had all the material. So we actually wrote in secrecy, so we weren't stressed about what other people might think or how they would react. So we actually had an idea that anything goes. We should try everything that comes into our heads, but also anything could be thrown away, so it's a lot of kill your darlings. Everybody has to agree about everything, that was recorded. That takes a lot of time, but if you have the positive creative vibe where everybody are willing to sacrifice their favorite parts or whatever, to make the best compromise, you will come up with a great album if you take your time.
Well, you definitely need to compromise for sure. I mean, you gotta be somewhat political as well, correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's where the maturity comes in. Back in your early 20s, you don't really, it's your way or the highway. Whereas now, it's much as important for me that everybody else is happy than that I'm happy. It's it's a total different vibe. When we do this now.
Right. Yes, 20 years is kind of like a whole life almost that you have gone through since Slaughter of the Soul. And personality-wise, what did you realize that was different this time around, as far as like you guys, as you said, like more mature man?
I would say, you know, like the honesty and importance and heart that goes into the writing and recording, that is still the same. That is what has stayed the same throughout all these years. I would say that the inspiration and the creativity, that urge to be creative, was back in the old days. Almost the pressure was almost negative, you know, because everything meant so much in a negative way, you know, that you know, I would kill to, you know, if I had to have a riff that I didn't like, you know. But now, as I said, with the democracy that we have in the band, that creative urge is more a positive feeling, you know. We feel secure in that, you know, we won't release anything that we're not 100% happy with, and therefore we are at ease, so we can actually be more creative.
What do you think Jens brought to the, you know, production aspect of the record?
I would say, you know, Jens brought in very, very fresh ears. What he has done, you know, with all the mixes I've heard from all the different bands he has recorded in the past or mixed in the past, that he brings out the band. He brings out the actual band and the heart in the band. I mean, all his mixes sound a bit different. You know, if you listen to a record by Amon Amarth and OPETH, for example, it's two different worlds, but he makes the band sound as a band. He made our record sound very real, very, you know, honest, and almost like an analog, you know, recording where you could actually hear real drums for once, you know. It sounds a bit old school that way, and you can hear everything. Everything is clear and crisp, but it's nice to the ear while still being very aggressive and brutal. I'm very happy with this mix.
Did you guys use a lot of digital tools this time around? Because I imagine 20 years ago you didn't have that much access to digital tools because it was something very primitive. How about this time around?
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, we embraced, you know, modern recording technology, just, you know, for, you know, saving time at least, you know. But I mean, everything is analog. We recorded. We haven't what you would call edited anything that very much. You know, it's very real album. But of course, it's very much easier to record these days with the digital equipment. But we had the urge to create very good basic sounds, as for the drums example, so you don't have to put a lot of triggers and stuff on them that they, you know, to make them sound better. The original sound is very important. Right.
And why At War with Reality? What was the inspiration behind the title itself?
It's actually an old title that we got, that Martin had been throwing around back in the 90s. And when the idea of the album came up and I started writing lyrics, and I actually remembered that title and felt that it could be a good starting point for the concept of the record. So that's why we used it.
And what are some of the themes and inspirations behind your lyrics nowadays? I mean, because I imagine it's somewhat different than 20 years ago.
Well, we actually try very hard to make everything, you know, to be true to the, you know, honesty and heart of the band. You know what is at the gates. So therefore, you know, I try to create some more lyrics along the same lines as we've done before, but I wanted them to have more depth, be more theoretically grounded in philosophical theory than before. You know. But they're written in the same kind of spirit as the early days, even before Slaughter of the Soul, but from the earlier albums. There is a lot of postmodern and post-structuralist thoughts about, you know, denouncing the idea of, you know, one explanatory model for our world. We need more than one. We need one explanation model for every person, you know, to understand the world.